Okay, SCA 5 was passed out of the Senate floor on January 31st of 2014. So I just want to make sure that we remember that. I always say that is the day that many of the Chinese Americans woke up realizing that we need to do something to fight for our own children. Now, this year is not just a matter of fighting for our future generations, our children, but also fighting for, our community to get public employments and also public contracting sometime in the future. So with that, Ling Ling, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. Thanks for joining
you guys. Yeah. Thank you so much for leading the effort. And here we are again. This is going to be a tough fight. Similarly with my own re-election to Senate, it's going to be a tough one this year. And but I just want to address right now. I do want to address Proposition 16. You've heard Bob and Mei say this, but racism exists, discrimination exists, and that's just not a secret, especially given what's happening this year. I've experienced it myself, and we see it in the news. Many of us have experienced it in the API community during the COVID crisis. And I hear numerous stories, daily about how Asian Americans are being treated. But the message today is clear. The answer to racial and ethnic discrimination is not more discrimination. And it certainly is not state-sanctioned discrimination. Here's what Prop 16 wants to remove from our state constitution, and Bob has already said it. The state shall not discriminate against or grant preferential treatment to any individual or group on the basis of race, sex, color, ethnicity, or national origin in the operation of public employment, public education, or public contracting. So what is so controversial about that? How did we get to the point where we are now advocating for discrimination in the law? I acknowledge the problem the proponents are trying to solve, that we should be working to increase the representation of women and minorities in our public institutions, but instead of lifting up women and minorities, Proposition 16 divides us. And it concerns me that our state is struggling to grapple with a global pandemic and economic contraction, that this issue is a top priority for so many lawmakers. Let's focus on public health, PPE distribution, and economic recovery, not stoking racial division. California's history has seen racial division embedded in our laws. At one point, the state's constitution included a ban on public employment for the Chinese. This happened. So I am saddened that we know this history, but still find ourselves with a proposition that would legalize discrimination. We need to come together as a state and country to stand against racial injustices. Proposition 16 is not the answer to that. I support and will continue to support laws protecting minorities and women from discrimination, not encouraging it. And we can stop this proposition. And in order to do that, you have to vote. Please. Everyone always talks about how Asian Americans don't vote, so they don't care about us. You absolutely have to vote. And tell a friend to go vote, and then tell another friend. Contact us, contact my office, contact my campaign. We'd be happy to help you out. So again, thank you so much for having me.
Hey, Ling, I got a couple of questions before you disappear, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You still with us? Yeah, okay. So these just came ahead of time because we don't really have the forum to take questions from the floor, so to speak. But you were a leader in helping to defeat SCA 5 6 years ago. What do you see as a difference between the fight in 2014 and the fight against Proposition 16 now?
I have to say, it really is the BLM movement and everything that's going on in the world right now. That's really the reason why this was brought forward, I believe, because even in the legislature, we were asked to focus on COVID-related legislation. And so we're all asking the question, what does this have to do with COVID? But just so happens that, in June, there was such a movement to I guess, fight for equality, and they believe that ACA 5 is the answer to that, which it isn't, because if you look at some of the stories that recently came out, they said that the UC system admitted their most diverse class this year. So why is it that we need Proposition 16? I mean, that's just ridiculous. What you're doing there, what they're doing here with Prop 16 is really creating more of a racial divide when we really should not be looking at or judging by our skin color.
So one last question. The 29th Senate District, which I used to represent, is one of, it used to be the most diverse, and I think it still is, Senate seat out of the 40 districts. How does your support of Prop 16 help or hurt you, do you think, in your reelection effort?
Well, so, you know, during the debate regarding ACA 5 and now Prop 16, a lot of Asian American groups, the Asian Americans for, I believe it's called Asian Americans for Equality, they were lobbying me to not speak against ACA 5 on the floor. And I think it is my position on ACA 5 might hurt me because, you know, the district is about 30% Caucasian, 30% Hispanic, Latino, and 30% Asian. And so there's been chatter saying, well, you know, if you take a position, a no position, then, you know, the Latinos may not want to vote for you. And so I'm like, well, they need to understand why I am against Proposition 16, and they should be too, because this will harm them as well. You know, so we need to put that message out there, and also, again, encourage Asian Americans to vote. It is so incredibly important. Like I said, time and time again, I keep hearing Asian Americans just won't vote because they don't think that their vote will matter, or, you know, I've heard that Asian Americans won't vote because then they get called into jury duty. But this is just so important, you know. If we don't speak up and if we don't demonstrate to the electorate that we are a group to be feared, then, you know, we've lost already. So I don't believe that we are at that point. I think that we can rise up and raise our voices to show that we can't be bullied. You know, this is just, I mean, this is the right thing to do. It's to oppose Proposition 16. It is legalizing discrimination.
Thank you, Senator. You've been a champion for us, and we wish you luck in your reelection. And yeah, we'll tell people to vote for you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Bob and Mei Mei.
Thank you.
Take care. Our next speaker is, did you want to say anything else, maybe? Are we good?
I'll do it in the closing.
Okay. So our next speaker is Peter Kuo, who is Vice Chairman of the Republican Party. I had some other comments here, but I don't know. So Peter's a Silicon Valley businessman, first and foremost, and I got to know him in 2014. You see a quote that I gave up here to Peter when he was running for CRP vice chair, but he was running in a Democrat-controlled district. And, you know, it's tough, but, you know, we had this great candidate in a horrible district who really stood a marginal chance of getting elected. But Peter has stayed involved politically and is now a state leader who represents the Asian community very well as vice chair of the California Republican Party. So thank you, Peter, for joining us.